Hello, people of the internet. We are live.
Oh, we're live. Okay. Awesome. Hello, people of the internet.
Welcome to Appendix N Cinema. So, what is Appendix N Cinema, you may be asking yourselves?
No,
you don't know? Oh,
no,
I should get a different co-host.
Oh,
So, just like the Dungeon Master's Guide of old, the Appendix N was full of book inspirations that inspired D&D. And so we're doing the same thing with 70s and 80s fantasy and science fiction films, maybe a little 90s in there. We'll see. And we're going to draw inspiration from these movies as we watch them together, and you guys in the chat room can help us out as we stat up monsters and magic weapons and bad guys and good guys and just overall discuss nerdy film and game stuff.
and just generally just talk little tidbits about these movies. Should they send suggestions of future movies in the chat, you think?
They most certainly should, and if they'd like to do so, they can also send it to our Twitter channel here. And yeah, brand new. We only have a couple of followers, so get on in there and send us your favorite 70s and 80s fantasy flicks you'd like to see on Appendix N Cinema.
Or even Mutant Crawl Classics related ones, like, post-apocalyptic works too.
Exactly. And here's our handles, just in case you want to follow either me or Clay and watch us rant about all sorts of things that Twitter is for, because that's mainly what it's for, is ranting.
I don't play D&D anymore. I just didn't have the heart to change my handle.
Yeah. That's what they all say. So at the end of this, we're going to actually post a article with the things we talked about and stat it up on the Goodman Games website in a couple days after the show. And so you can help us along with that by putting things in the chat, like I said. And, lest I digress further, tonight's viewing is Beastmaster.
And can I say that we did not even have to hesitate to pick this one as the first?
No, it was just we agreed upon it right away. It's like, and it's really, we'll get to it as we're talking, but it really is a good DCC adventure in general, starting from 0 level and moving on, if you want to look at it that way.
And directed by a person with a lot of very DCC-like acclaim. You got Don Coscarelli, who also did Phantasm, which is such a perfect DCC weird 70s crossover movie. And later on, Bubba Hotep.
Yeah. So, let us begin, shall we? You've got the tape ready?
I do.
All right. 1, 2, 3. And if this audio is too loud for you, and you can't hear our voices, then let me know.
Perfect.
But it shouldn't be, hopefully.
Leisure Investment Company presents. Somebody really put a lot of thought in that name. So, how did you first discover Beastmaster?
Oh, you're gonna put me on the spot, huh?
I mean, I can tell how I did. But...
Well, I have to admit that I did not watch Beastmaster until just recently.
Blasphemy.
I know. I never, I grew up with Conan the Barbarian and a lot of other things, but I guess, maybe my dad just didn't like Beastmaster as much as some other films, so I just never really watched it as a kid or growing up.
Someone in the chat wants to know how we got the rights to stream this.
That is a good question.
Anyway, so I was kidding. I have a weird connection to this movie. Can I say my weird connection?
Please, tell us your weird connection to this movie.
if anybody wants to tell, well, you can actually look this up on the internet. My godfather is the villain in this one. My godfather is the late lamented Rick Torn. And it would, we used to be, before I was making films on my own, if you Googled my name, the only thing you would ever find is my connection to Rick Torn. Oh, here we go. This is good stuff. So,
I kind of always thought that looked like a lion a little bit, like maybe since it is a Beastmaster.
I think that's worth pointing out at the beginning is Beastmaster gets really right that spells are gnarly and difficult and gross to cast, and it requires some sort of like bizarro like sacrifice or gross. They put him inside a cow or something. Spoiler alert, sorry. But yeah, it's like it does this really cool stuff with magic where it's like it's not like Harry Potter. You just point a wand at something and go zippity zap.
Yeah, you gotta really get up on that cauldron like those ladies are doing.
Yeah.
And,
this is the one. This is the very what would you call kids call it a confusing. You know what?
Mm-hmm.
It's like really attractive, but their faces are.
This would be. I imagine. Well, see, they gotta continue to do that to keep the spell going. Obviously.
Yeah, and you'll see
it's a ritual cast.
You'll see the much more in-depth version of it, and there's Rip. The much more in-depth version of the ritual casting later on when the cow gets involved.
Yeah.
And here we have warrior priests in the back. These guys, like, I don't even know what you would call them. What would you consider those? Like they're sword fighting monks, but they're not like.
Yeah, well, maybe. They don't do a whole lot of fighting besides hanging themselves. Spoiler alert.
They get they got some fighting later in them when they're up on the pyramid and stuff.
I would probably, I don't know. You could use the friar stat in the back of the monster manual, the DCC manual, or alkalite, I suppose, because they can cast harmful spells and whatnot.
Or maybe you do a combo. You pick an acolyte and then you jump up the. You just increase the combat skill with a hit die or something. Use an acolyte as a base.
Yeah.
Attack is.
I will not allow the sacrifice of an innocent.
See, that's where the king went wrong. You gotta sacrifice the innocent sometimes.
You can't take a king seriously with a crown like that.
It's more of a tiara, really.
Is that diadem, right? Isn't the?
Yeah.
Yeah, but no, that was definitely like there are a couple of movies growing up that really got my fascination level for like dirty, difficult magic. It was this movie and a great little known film called Warlock with Julian Sands.
Mm-hmm.
We should do at some point because it's brilliant.
Yeah, I mean that one's modern day, but you definitely all the weird casting that happens in it.
It's like 16th century, and then it jumps to the.
It's a fidget spinner, says Mr. TV Head.
Oh, that is it. The like that weird glaive thing.
So here we go. These guys are showing their dedication.
Crazy Glue does wonderful things.
So what do you think they give him the hawk nose, just to make him look even more?
Don't say it.
Evil.
Don't say it. I'm just kidding. Yes, they make him look more evil. No, I guess you gotta have like a aquiline nose or something. I don't know.
I mean, it is that's you hear that a lot, and when you're reading these Appendix N.
It's true. And this definitely is like no bones about it, classic sword and sorcery.
Right. Yeah. Which brings me to where did I put it? Oh yeah, because it's very loosely based on the Andre Norton Beastmaster. Extremely loosely based because this has nothing to do with the book, and in fact, according to Wikipedia, Andre Norton said she wanted her name taken off the screenplay or the script writing or anything like that because it was just so far removed from her book.
According to the liner notes of my old DVD of it, it says, whereas the hero of Norton's novel was a Navajo fighter named Hostine Storm, and the story was a futuristic science fiction western, They changed the character to be dark, but I don't know. It sounds kind of insane, like the Andre Norton version.
It sounds more like an MCC thing, honestly, because it's kind of like post-apocalyptic.
It's one of those perfect crossovers. This is where we get some gnarly. She's gonna transfer. Is there a spell like this? It'll transfer a baby out of one womb and stick it in a cow. That's what happens.
Well, I think that's our job to write one.
All right.
And also this stuff here, I always like this. Gotta have that black light hanging up in the set to really.
Blue goo baby transfer.
Yeah.
And it's a level 3 spell.
Blue goo.
Baby be gone? No, not baby be gone. That would be something else.
Well, you're not. Yeah, I mean, you're not getting rid of. You're getting rid of the baby, but you're just transferring it into so you can carry it further away.
It seems like such a single specific use spell. Like, how many times are you getting this spell that, like, okay, I gotta specifically put this baby in a cow so we can sneak it out?
I imagine there definitely has to be spell burn. I mean, look at the witch doing this. She's gotten some corruption, some spell burn going on. You gotta be corrupted if you're gonna be doing this spell. Like, it's automatic. Like. Major corruption.
She rolled a 1 and then she backed it up with a major corruption, yeah. But you in, and it still killed her. And it's like, yeah, this is I guess the blue goo keeps them from acting.
Yeah. That's a whole different substance. I don't think that has anything to do with the spell.
That's the blue goo hold spell.
You got to make. I don't know what the ingredients would be for that. You know.
The blood of some demonic creature, probably.
Certainly, yeah. That's a quest in itself just to get that blue
and
goo.
Here's the one. This spell is for the make an amazing entrance or exit with your curtain parter spell. Oh, poor cow. SPCA was not around for this.
I'm sure he's fine.
I'm sure he'll get up.
I think you probably see him breathing right there.
The dead that cow. So yeah, then we get the introduction of a weapon coming up that a very cool weapon that we haven't seen before. That would be interesting to consider what you would base that on, maybe. Because my whole philosophy for making new stuff when it comes to any game, but especially with DC, is to take something that exists and just jack it a little bit until it, maybe fits the pattern a little bit.
Right.
So we're about to see we're gonna see the precursor, I would think, to Krull's glaive here momentarily, I believe. If I remember correctly.
I think so too.
I watched this movie like 45,000 times on HBO when I was a kid. Because that was a joke that said HBO used to stand for Hey Beastmaster's on.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yep, some more ritual magic here.
Yeah. So, he's gonna do a mighty deed here.
I mean, she fights pretty well, but he just keeps standing back up every time, so it's like...
Here's another cool spell. This is the leave your clothes in your shape but teleport away spell. It's called Psych.
All right.
See, this is weird to me.
He's not affected by her good looks.
Well, he looked up. He looked all the way up.
So I guess that would be kind of a little telekinesis thing going on.
Force manipulation, mayhap.
Yeah, maybe she threw like a little apple-sized ball, and we didn't see it, and it hit him, and that's what.
So this brings up a salient point. Are there any? I can't remember. Is there like a witch, like NPC or monster-ish?
There is. Yeah, there's a witch in the back of the DCC book.
And do you think it's an appropriate witch? That would be the next question.
Well, I the witch from my adventure, I took the stats sort of from this, and then I manipulated. I mean, that's the best way to do things. But let's see.
Don't you hate it when you kill a monster and then you go to loot its treasure and you find a baby?
Worst treasure ever. Yeah, she's got claw attacks. I guess she was kind of using her claws a little bit there. So, curse spell. She was definitely putting a curse on this baby before it
Force
got.
manipulation spell and a little.
How much
blue-
how much inventory space does a baby take up? Asks.
Are we adopting
One of our
the?
viewers.
Are we adopting the Lamentations of the Flame Princess slot system? 'Cause I kinda like that one. Okay. Or what's
I
the
mean-
one that we were looking at the other day? Because Thorin and I play in a D&D.
It was that hammer space is what we were talking about.
Hammer space.
Which
That's a good
I
one.
forget who. Someone's got a blog. If you look up hammer space
MC
inventory.
Hammer has his own encumbrance system. So, Billy Jacoby. This kid actor was in every 80s movie. Oh, there's the glaive thing.
Yeah. Well, he used it once already.
That's true.
Yeah, we should definitely. You can, as a warrior, you can use that as a mighty deed to do fun things like take off a man's hat and not his head, or make it so it flies back around at you. But if you miss your deed die, then it won't come back because you didn't throw it right.
What level do you take father for? Well, if he's doing a deed like that and not killing the dude, that's got to be. He's got to be what, 3rd level maybe?
Or he just
Well, that
a
would
lucky
give him
roll.
That would give him a D5 as a deed die if he was 3rd level. So that might be. And I think I would say if you were trying to knock somebody's hat off, basically, I would say you need like a 4. I wouldn't give it just on a 3. I'd give it on a 4 though. So if he has a 5, he'd have a decent chance of getting in. He'd have almost
Sure.
not quite a 50% chance, but almost.
So, according to IMDb, this bear actually attacked the handler the first time they did the scene. And all the cast and crew had to go run back into their vehicles before they could tame the bear. It's a Russian bear, and it's the only Russian bear in Hollywood.
That's not the famous Bart the bear that's like in every movie, is it?
Yeah, I think so.
Because Bart the bear is a gentle giant, from what I hear.
So he's no 0 level, but he's also just some village hitman. But yeah, he did ace that witch. I mean, I would give him at least a level 1. And maybe that was his, attacking the witch was his level 1, level 0 encounter that brought him up just enough to...
He could have been a war veteran who returned to the simple life afterwards. Just
That's true, yeah.
Wanted to be a dirt farmer.
So... Sometimes
Billy
that's...
Jacoby, if you want to see, is in a very underrated movie called Just One of the Guys that he plays the wisecracking brother as a teenager, and it's really strange to see him as like a little kid in this. But
so, would you say, since the Beastmaster has these telekinetic abilities, or ESP abilities, I guess, to talk to animals, would this be a warrior with a benison, like from Lankamar?
could be that, or
Because-
maybe we could whip out the Mind Games third-party supplement, and where it actually has a Psionicist, and you can actually you don't have to use the Psionicist class in that supplement. You can just assign individual powers if you like.
Right.
But yeah, Benisons are great. I love Benisons. I am of the mind that Lankmar adding Benisons was basically a stealth second edition for DCC. I know that's anathema to say that in DCC land, but I do feel that that was my tipping point. That was when I finally was like, I'm done with D&D. This is my game. It
Right.
was like Lankmar changed the game for me. And it was the one that finally convinced me to do the crossover.
I mean, it's good stuff for sure.
And the Benisons are fantastic. The concept of that Benisons, it like really lets you customize in a way without being overbearing in that D&D annoying customization way.
Mm-hmm.
It gives you just enough that you can get a little smooch of something else, you know?
Right. A little smooch. I like that.
It's a little smooch. That's it. I love it.
So, now I know, there's a scene coming up where this whole tower this whole village, burns down and stuff. But why did they put their village on stilts in the middle of, this valley hilly region?
It's a floodplain.
Oh, okay. Well, that's an easy enough
Well,
explanation.
it does not. It's weird. It doesn't look like arable Earth very well. It doesn't look
No.
And I gotta point this out. Why do they always? This is such an '80s trope to bring in a dog just to kill it. It really upsets me.
Yeah, it's rough.
Roll the body
It's
on
rough.
the dog.
No
man.
pun intended.
We haven't gotten there yet. No, it's really right. Jesus. So yeah, it's like they are like literally dirt farmers.
So, or maybe they're gong farmers. We can't see what they're actually,
Yeah,
digging.
that's what makes the crops grow.
But yeah, so this is definitely his 0 level adventure going on right here because, he survives this and then he becomes level 1 Beastmaster. Maybe we should just write a whole like a Beastmaster class in general.
So these baddies that are coming. Oh, by the way, that is a forced perspective miniature.
The town.
Yeah, it's literally closer to the camera than they are. It's just a trick photography shot.
Wow.
You also have these Jun warriors who are going to show up that are very obviously like Mad Max type, like fantasy version of like the Mad. Ooh, what's the dude's name from Road Warrior? The bad guy. Humongous.
Toe Cutter?
Lord Humongous.
Road Warrior.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lord Humongous. And he's got this badass mace where the blades shoot out the sides of it. His little skull mace has like blades that go pink out the side, and this dirt farmer has like all these badass weapons.
Yeah.
But yeah, this mace, I would like to see that standard up.
Definitely.
That would be a mace with an optional like multiple daggers in it. I don't know. How would you do that?
I think it would be something where you can only shoot it off so many times. Like they
don't detach. It's not like Sword and the Sorcerer where the guy has the blade that shoots the blades out.
That's right. Yeah. No, it is a mace. So.
It doesn't eject the blades.
Whoa! I forgot to cut that out. Sorry, folks.
Or that and that.
It's all right. It's okay.
So,
we're all adults here.
What is the rule? Remind me if you remember. Like, if you throw some fire on something, what do you do to determine if it catches? Like, would you do like a luck check, or is it like a percentage? Like, what would you do?
I would imagine what are they throwing? Right? Is it a torch? Is it oil?
It's a torch onto essentially a big pile of straw.
I mean, then it lights immediately. I mean, that's just the way. Unless it rained that hour, then.
So, this Dar guy must be using the Lankmar, an optional rule where the more naked you are, the better your armor class is. What was that rule called? It's like the one that simulates the barbarian.
I'd have to look it up.
Yeah, it's basically the less armor you wear. The more naked you are, the better your armor class is somehow.
But right now, he's 0 level still at this point.
Do you think do you think he's like so special that he just started at first level because maybe he's a Lankmar character, they don't have 0 levels?
That's true. I mean, he was birthed from a cow, technically. So that's pretty special.
That's gotta be worth something.
Yeah.
And as we'll see later on, that Jun dude's helmet does not help him.
No.
Look at those big ass ears. It's like that is just like a target. It's got to be not comfortable to wear. So we've got a lot of like very unique weapons so far, which is kind of remarkable.
Mm-hmm.
Relatively low budget. This is a pretty cheap movie, all things considered.
But it doesn't, it doesn't feel that way, no. And I think that has everything to do with like shots like this, where there's good cinematography goes a long way to make cheap things look good.
Yeah. And now here come our. So it always confused me with the kids, like the politics of this fictitious world, because you've got these mercenary Juns that are kind of like, they're almost like this horde, like Eastern horde, and why are they working with these priests of Rip Thorin's priests? I've never really done the math on this, how this works out, what they benefit from each other. Are they all just like ridiculously?
Maybe they just get their kicks, burning down villages.
Yeah, maybe so. I don't know. Just make this. I don't know. You think that? I don't know. It always bothered me though, because I was like, I got confused who was what as far as like what's the system that works here.
Right.
There's a lot of these movies don't really put too much emphasis on that. I suppose maybe they just realize what side their bread is buttered on, and they don't worry about it.
It's in the background. It's not.
I don't like this part. So he's having his first psionic experience, I
Right, yeah.
guess. I
He-
use a second because he felt the dog get shot.
He got 10 XP from. No, okay, I agree with you. He's already first level because he
He's
was.
scrying. Who is it? Some sort of scrying thing. What would the equivalent of that be? I can grab my mind games book.
Yeah, why don't you get that out? Because I think that would
You
be
go and
would
grab it
be
real quick.
helpful.
Hang on a second. I'm going dark.
Because yeah, I don't know. What spell? Anybody in the chat? Would it be just if this was a Beastmaster class, then it wouldn't be a spell. It'd be some inherent ability, right?
Which
that
is
grows.
a fun time to bring up that on eBay I found a supplement for Traveler, the science fiction game that would allow you to make Beastmaster characters. And I almost bought it, but I was gonna buy it for this and I forgot.
As long as your Beastmaster character doesn't die at birth, right?
Right, exactly. The legend of the game where you can die in character creation. I love it. So let's grab all my random books, and I can find it in here somewhere. Here it is. This is a great book, by the way, which I didn't realize when I bought it, but one of the America books for the other by this company, they're calling under the Broken Moon guys, the Shield of Faith Studios. Am I saying that right?
Yeah, I think that's them.
They did one of their more recent things. Basically, is a redux of this book included in another book.
Mm.
So I have like basically two versions of this where there's like microscopic changes, but they're still really cool. But we got powers in here like, well, they have them broken up in these like tiers within categories. So like categories are like psychometabolism and psychokinesis and clairsentience and telepathy. I guess clairsentience has remote viewing. So
There we
that's
go.
probably
Yeah.
that was probably so you probably had which is a tier 1.
And
so
that's
you got at first level.
right. I was gonna say that's mainly what he uses the hawk for, although he does use it for attacking as well, I believe.
Poor dog. I don't like the dead dog thing.
It's okay. You can see him breathing.
Just put him on top of your dad. It's okay. There are all sorts of weird powers that I don't. There's one called molecular vicissitude, which I have to look up what that does. But they actually handle psionics really well in this book. I gotta say, not just. I mean, I think it's okay to plug this, right? It's a good book.
Oh yeah.
Not on the drive-through RPG, but I think you can plug it on the Goodman site too.
Yeah, they have third-party stuff on there now.
Yeah. Oh, and as a tribute to Bart the Bear that we saw earlier, we have Brain Bear.
It's a little over to the right. There.
No,
All right. Yeah, Brain Bear.
the bear with the exposed brain. Get in there.
Other way. Too
I
far.
know. I get the delay is killing me.
It's okay.
Ah,
We believe you.
not enough Brain Bear.
All right. So yeah, he definitely has the no armor Benison. That's for sure.
Yes, absolutely.
And I think in the Beastmaster class, I think that's you gain your armor goes up as you level up.
We are moments away from his like signature move thing where he starts spinning the sword like a maniac on the top of a mountain. So what would that like? Would that just be a gimme if your player is like, hey, I just want to swing my sword and show off and not like stab anybody on accident, like you just let it happen? Or would you be like, I think you need to pull off a mighty deed, or what would you do for that?
I would say, if my character's like, I want to find a mountain and go show off, I think that would be a luck roll, right? So maybe if you roll your luck roll, then the gods are pleased with your shining, oiled up physique shimmering in the sun.
You have to prelude though.
Yeah. You gotta get that right oil, that body oil, going. Here we go.
Now, can you buy body oil? Is that in the standard equipment list?
You can just use regular flaming oil, but then you got to be careful for like the next adventure because
That's dangerous.
you just
So
light
there
up
we go.
at
He's
any
gotta,
point.
like, he's like for an audience of none. He's gonna go up here and just be like, "I want to practice sword thing." I've been toying with an idea.
This is my usual routine, though. My workout routine.
Oh, I guess he's just practicing with his stick first. But yeah, so I've been toying with this idea, and I didn't spring it on you yet, Thorin, for one of our games, like, because like in other games you have like ability score increases and stuff like that, but we don't do that, and it's actually I like the fact that we don't do that. But if you wanted an option, I wonder if you can. One thing I thought was really cool that Call of Cthulhu does is when you use your ability a certain amount of time successfully, or I don't even know if it has to be successfully, but after you use a certain ability a certain amount of times, you can check to see if it goes up.
So you have to roll above what it is already, right? Yeah, and then it goes up only by then you roll 10% or less, and it goes up by either 10% or less or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Hackmaster had something similar. When you rolled up your characters in that, you would roll 3d6 for your stats, and then you'd roll a percentage die, and then it was tied in with honor in that game. So honor would help your stats go up over time, and once so if you had like 7 strength and 51%, fractional, that 51%, once it went up to 100, then you could bump up your 7 strength to 8. And just keep doing that, so it goes up. It's kind of the same concept.
So here's something real quick. So this, at first glance, I would say that's a scimitar, but it's a lot longer than a scimitar, right? That's like a custom blade, right? Does anyone know, is that like an actual, like, a blade?
It does seem, it's really long. It's almost,
here we go. That's either luck or a mighty deed right there.
It's a long sword for sure, but... And then this.
It's curved long. It's a single-sided. It's not a double-edged. It's a single-edged.
It's kind of. I would say it's a scimitar-ish, although it's not curvy. As curvy. I don't know.
Speaking of curves, we're pretty close to the part you had to cut out, right?
Yeah. Had to edit it for. I missed a little bit, but before that. But yeah, these little guys.
Yeah, these ferrets are like professional thieves.
They had like 40 some ferrets on set. I was reading the trivia.
I hope they all lived.
Because you can't train them, so they just would put food and stuff in front of them.
It wasn't a Milo and Otis situation.
No.
If you know about that one, if you ever want to just be sad, just look up the making of Milo and Otis, and you'll never watch another animal movie again.
I think I'll pass. So yeah, obviously they increase his thieving ability when he uses his ferrets. He gets bonuses to, pickpocketing, for instance, or other things.
But would you even say that it's his skills, or is it just them in their own?
I would say as the player would roll for them, and since he's controlling them, he would get a bonus if he's using them. Maybe.
Yeah, that sounds fair. Are there rules for quicksand?
Don't fall in it. That's the rule. I don't know. I would imagine it's some sort of.
I can't think of any game that has. I'm sure, like in one of those wilderness survival guide things, probably D&D somewhere has a quicksand.
There's got to be something. Yeah, a lot of good flexing on the mountains doing in the quicksand, huh?
Yeah.
This scared me the first time I watched it. I was like, oh no, we're already gonna get a.
When you watched this yesterday, you thought that Barrett was gonna lose it, huh?
I didn't watch it yesterday. Sixty. Oh, you're right. Yeah.
Oh no, I thought that was
5.
a joke.
I thought it was a joke too.
I feel like that's coming around the mountain. Yeah. This movie with all these animals, I was realizing earlier today, I was telling you, I feel like this is the fantasy version of Ace Ventura: Pet Detective. Yeah, so like, do you that's not like a familiar, right? Because he's not. Can you assign a familiar to a non-spellcaster? Like the way how you can do invoke patron for a non-caster, you can get them Can you do the same thing with a familiar?
Hey, in your game you can do whatever you want. That's the beauty of it. But I mean that could again tie it into Benisons or something. Like you have a familiar.
Yeah, I think I wrote a venison about animal kinship or something like that. Or maybe I got that out of the Linkmar book. I can't remember. But I was like on a kick where I was writing a ton of new Benisons. Yeah, I can't remember, and the lines blurred between which ones were original ones and which ones I just made up on the spot.
So I would say if you were writing up this class, it would Beastmaster class. It would be a base warrior, obviously, with just a few. I don't know if maybe spells. I mean,
Will all Beastmasters have psionic abilities, or is it just specific to the guy who came out of the cap?
maybe there would be a chart, like how did you get your things? Were you birthed from a cow? Were you birthed from an egg? Like you could have this whole chart that then ties into what your special abilities are.
But then you could also do, like, if you think about the birth from the cow part, you can do the thing that I think is really innovative and cool about with DCC, specifically with the Benisons, is like for every Benison, you have to take a doom, right? You have to have something negative
Yes.
for everything positive. And as far as I'm concerned, every level, I'll let you spend luck to buy a new Benison, but you also have to take a doom along with it.
Of course.
And but yeah, the doom could be like maybe he's afraid of tight spaces because he can't be. You guys claustrophobic. He was inside that cow. I don't know.
Yeah.
His doom is he can't be in a 5x5 room.
Or he gets a negative to all his checks and stuff.
So here we get the introduction of the tiger that they spray painted black to make it into a panther.
Yes, because they originally wanted a panther or a leopard, but they're harder to control in movie sets. I love his little caw there. You have you have to do that at the table when you're gaming as a Beastmaster. You have to make loud hawk noises.
What would you use that boomerang effect? So it's like, is that was it considered a miss that somehow hit on the way back, or is it always intended to just do the loop and then come back?
Maybe so in Sky of Crimson Flame, I had the sorcerer could throw his dagger at the end of the thing, and you would roll to hit, and you would roll a D3 die. And so, like, if you got 3 and you rolled a 15, it could hit 3 characters. It would fly around because it's more magical than that.
Oh, right.
But it would hit 3 characters with a 15 or lower AC in one turn. But if you only rolled 1, then it would only hit 1 character before it came back to his hand. So it could be something like that where you do multiple rolls. You go down the dice chain.
Well, yeah. I was gonna say maybe you could do a cool thing where like the initial roll is if you hit, that's great. But if you don't, maybe because of your special training or something, maybe it's a Benison that you get an extra luck roll on the return passage when that luck roll would determine.
Oh yeah, I like that.
Return trip.
So even if it misses, you can try to roll under your luck, and then if you roll under your luck, you get to re-roll at a lower dice chain.
Yeah.
Like
and
a
you
60.
could say that, and that wouldn't be open to everyone. That would just be like if you had that Benison, maybe.
Sure.
We're really trying to sell y'all on the Benison's concept.
Obviously. I mean, if you haven't got the Linkmar box set, get it.
I mean, honestly,
or
even
download
if you want to play in Linkmar, like the Benisons are because my home game is not set in that world. But I use the.
You can play in Poonjar if you want.
So here we go. So we're about to have an edit.
All right.
Oh, it happened to it.
Oh.
I gotta move ahead my DVD now. Oh no! I hit the eject button on accident. Okay, I can see what's happening on screen.
So yeah, I went through and made a TV edit here.
You should have changed any. Oh, they don't have any dirty words. It'd be funny if you did like the RoboCop made for TV movie version where it's like they changed the curse words.
I just dub it all in. Darn it! Shoot!
Darn it, mother, father. That poor animal.
Okay, so they didn't use like spray paint. They used like an actual like hair dye, and as you notice in the movie, as it licks its lips, it actually starts licking some of it off, or when it like eats and stuff.
We have a Tanya Roberts identification in the chat, which is true. Yes, Tanya Roberts, the later to be on that '70s show, but also the sister of Eric Roberts, your discount action star. And later on, Tanya Roberts did a very DCC-like movie also where she was the star of, where she was in Sheena, Queen of the Jungle. Or is it She-Ra? No, Sheena. She-Ra's.
Yeah, She-Ra's He-Man.
Just gotta show them who's in command.
Let's see if I can figure out what chapter this is.
I'll accept this.
Chapter selections. You can tell I'm old because I'm doing my end of it on the TV.
I don't think this is really the best way to go about getting a date, but, you know, it is sword and sorcery world, so I suppose there's different things going on there.
Almost caught up. Here we go. Oh, he does the thing where he like fake control the animal. Is that happening yet? I looked to the
You're
wrong
right.
side. Oh no, it hasn't happened yet. It's about to happen. He does this great thing in a moment where he like pretends to use his powers, or maybe he does use his powers. I can't tell if he's doing it legit or if he's just like,
What, with the tiger?
yeah, where he's just like, go away, I'm trying to do something here.
Yeah. Well, we've already passed that,
He's
buddy.
like, oh, okay. He's like, he was getting blocked. Everybody has to wear a freaking diadem. What's up with that? Like,
I'll protect you.
You don't understand. I must go back.
Clothes were hard to make back then
If I don't, my family will be dead.
for certain people. Also, she's a maiden of Rip Torn's evil
he's
priesthood.
a slave. She's the slave girl, but they just let him go. They let him have like a day off to go frolic in the lake.
As long as they come back, they have a time limit.
Bye, Dar.
Yeah, you're like, you got to be back by 7.
That's when the sacrifice happens.
But her hair is perfect too. So like, all their hair is pretty.
Well,
perfect.
she just came out from the bath, so of course it's going to be perfect.
I mean, it dried pretty fast.
I mean, the tiger's hair is perfect.
No, he just had to shake it off.
Ferrets are very stinky, so I can't imagine having 40 of them on set all the time.
But I do think it's actually a cool thing that the more I think about it, I hadn't thought about it until we started talking about it, but the idea of familiars possibly still cast by a wizard to find the familiar. And it's not called find familiar. What's it called? It's oh jeepers. It's something like that. But anyway, the equivalent of the find familiar spell. But maybe you could do it for somebody else. I like that idea that like maybe at a certain spell result, you could be like, you know what? Here's a present. This is for you, buddy.
Right,
Or
right.
you give
Or
it to
maybe it's an inherit thing. Again, it's like when you're rolling up your Beastmaster character, you eventually will get one, but you don't know when it's going to come. The judge knows when it's going to come.
We did a ruling in the game we played last night where a spell that wasn't supposed to at a certain level transfer to somebody else. We transferred to somebody else. What was it? The Sanctuary.
That's right, yeah.
I allowed it. I allowed it to happen. Not rules, but rulings, right?
That's right.
No, I gotta look this up. It's gonna bother me. I have to look up in my book and see if like, well, because it's like, you know, the idea that patron bond, right? That you could cast that for somebody else makes it feel like there should be some other spells that are naturally for the magic user, Jesus, the wizard that old habits die hard. That could be transferable over. I think that would be cool. Like at a certain level, you're like, hey, you look like you need a pet dog that listens to you all the time. Yeah,
You look down in the dumps. Here's a dog, kid.
yeah, exactly.
So we never hear the name of these creatures coming up.
No,
They're just...
I don't know if they're in the credits. Oh no, I have it. They're in this book. They have a name, and I'll tell you what it is.
Yeah.
And there's also really cool art here. Let's see if I'm holding this in the right spot.
I see it.
I'm not doing a great job. Sorry, guys.
I could bring it on the big screen, but I don't want to mess up the movie.
Nah, don't mess up the movie. It's not worth it. But these guys are called. Hang on. I don't think they have a cool name. It's like bird lizard or something. It's something.
Bird lizard.
But they have such a weird thing because they have such an alien etymology and like this the notion that like they have like these food sacks.
Yeah, they...
And then they here
Whoa,
comes-
like this, like...
yeah.
So obviously, like so he doesn't have a mouth, so he's engorging this guy, almost kind of the same way.
Digesting like the fly.
Yeah. But I was gonna say almost kind of like the way the corrupted flesh is in My Adventure, way it just and then it'll eat you up, and it heals its own hit points while taking away hit points from another character.
Oh, that's cool. By the way, I just randomly saw in the book, it said that the sword that Dara has is actually a crossbreed of a katana and an Arabic scimitar.
Oh, well, there you go.
And it took him 3 weeks to forge it.
Nice. So,
using D2 tool steel. I don't know what that means. Somebody in the chat might know what that means.
What is D tool?
D2.
D2. Okay.
Tool steel.
So yeah, these guys are cool. I would say these guys are. So obviously they have a bird god. So.
Yes, they're into birds. What would be a cool name for these guys? Because I thought there was one in here, but I can't.
I don't know. Anybody got suggestions in the chat?
I feel like
cool
they should have like
guys?
a name that's not like. I hate when they give names like. They should have names and not like like in like what Call of Cthulhu, they're like serpent people. I'm like, why would you wouldn't call yourself a serpent person? Like they should have some cool
That's what the humans
like,
call
weird. But they call themselves that too.
Just fill up. Just put a couple of apostrophes and some continents or
Sack huggers.
Random letters. Sack huggers, someone says.
But they need like the Amos or something, like some, I don't know, that's his, but they should have like a cool like.
Known to the common folks as sack huggers.
Yes.
According to Gronk Healyman. Look at that moon.
That's a good composite shot there.
But yeah, I would say those guys are pretty dangerous because if they wrap around you, then they're doing. I mean, you saw how easily that guy got eaten up. They're probably doing like 1d8 damage per round, So it's
At least. Well, he couldn't have had too many hit points. That guy was definitely 0 level.
D2 steel is a grade of steel particularly good for forging knives and blades. Thank you.
That makes sense. That checks out. So they're like, if you ever need us, just rub the bird amulet and we will come. Oh no, that's a spoiler.
Well, I hope no one's watching this for the first time as we just talk over the whole time. So.
You're talking about the forced perspective miniature. Oh no, yeah, no, I think it's in this.
This looks like a matte painting.
No, this is actually a forced perspective miniature. That building is in the foreground. Actually, it's closer to the camera than he is.
That's cool. I love that stuff.
I love that stuff. I teach that stuff in school to my students. This is making the most of your limited resources. Just like this show, how evil these guys are. On a low budget, you just throw up some sticks to put some fake skeletons on it.
All right.
So yeah, this is very like. This is weird because as you play games more and more, like fantasy games, and as you start learning about if you're like me and you didn't know how civilizations popped up and you kind of learned your stuff from like games and stuff, it's like you start to learn it's like all cities and major towns are by significant sources of water. But I feel like everything in this movie is like in the towns and cities in the middle of, well, I guess there's some.
I mean, the backdrop there is looks like good farming area, but they decided to.
Yeah, but they literally just like no, we're gonna forego that. We don't want to be obvious. Let's
build our town near the tar pits.
And I didn't understand this one. This is another one of those weird things I thought too much about and I didn't understand. So like there's this like microscopic town, and that seems to service this temple, this sacrificial temple, and I don't know what else is happening in this town. Like what does this town subsist on? Why do people stay here? Because it seems like the only thing that happens if you stay here is your kids get sacrificed. Yeah, nobody will recognize him now.
Well, see, I mean, it's a good disguise because usually he's not wearing anything.
He does have some Steve skills because
There he is.
disguise self and then like pickpocketing stuff, and that kid has some 80s hair, and I was too young to know my godfather personally, so my knowledge of him as a child was from this movie.
So you're probably like, no, I never want to meet him. He's gonna throw me in the fire.
Pretty much. Yeah, so like, and then like I like also this fire. Anytime you throw something in the fire, they basically explode instantly.
It's definitely some magical fire. I mean, it's his evil deity's fire. It's not normal flames. Any man
This
can
kid
just
has
start.
the most intense, like, grating. Like, I know he's being carted to his death and all, but like, oh my god, he's so annoying the way he sounds. And he's like, meh.
These steps are not built to code either. Those pretty.
No. And they actually this is the one major like set piece they really built, like fully built. Now this, I would not buy this, I don't think, in one of my home games.
Oh.
You know what I'm talking about, right?
I know what's coming up.
There's no freaking way that, I mean, it's just like basic physics. What the bird's about to do, and that's a kind of hefty little baby too. That's our child.
Yeah, that's not a baby. If it was a baby, I'd give it to him.
That kid's a little bit of a tank. So like, I don't know. I don't. This bird maybe the bird is magical. Maybe the psionic powers. Maybe the bond with the Beastmaster. He can siphon some of the Beastmaster's strength.
His strength. Yeah. I mean, however you want to sell it.
Yeah, he's like, hey, dude.
Here he comes.
And maybe the other psionic powers to slow down the descent of the child into the flames.
Yeah, look at that.
But the best is coming up with a matte shot, or not the matte shot. It's like a optical plate shot that's coming up, where you see that. Yeah, it's coming up with a bird flying with a baby. You'll see in a moment.
But it's just the kid's just flapping.
It's pretty ridiculous. He just looks so like nonplussed. And he's like, what?
Yeah, I mean that's the only way I can.
There it is. That kid's like not even hanging straight down. He's like at a weird angle. It just doesn't make sense. But I guess it's kind of stupid to like nitpick a movie. It's already a fantasy film, but
I think I think the best idea is that the bird is able to siphon the strength of the Beastmaster.
yeah, I'll go with that.
That's
So he has to like.
But if somebody was trying to sell me on that and it wasn't written in the rules, they would really have to like roll a luck check or really sell me on that as a judge.
I do appreciate that they actually took some mechanical thought into how he finds this dude's house. So he has the smell. He has the ferret smell the guy sent, and then goes and use that to track him down. So I appreciated that. Now the shape of these doors. I don't know if they're real doors that were shaped like, or not this. Oh, I guess it's not the door is not shaped here. This is the alcove.
It's just decorative.
Oh, the 80s.
My little lighters.
It was men who had bangs in the 80s.
I had bangs in the 80s. I basically had Beastmaster's haircut.
So doesn't he like basically at this point he's like, hey, I brought your kid back, but now I need you to do something for me, and he basically makes this poor guy risk his life for him by like smuggling him into the bad guy's camp or something.
Well, that's a DCC character for sure. All right, I helped you. Now what are you gonna do for me?
So far on a scale of monsters to stats, this movie has only really presented us with the witches, which are pretty much like you just juice up a garden variety witch. You've got the sack huggers,
Yeah.
and maybe psionically influenced animals.
So
I don't
far, we know there's a couple more things coming.
Yeah, we've got a couple more things, but they're all. Well, we got one you could actually consider a mutant of sorts. coming
That's
up.
true.
But do we actually get any like full-on, besides the sack huggers? Do we get any full-on monsters?
I don't think so. I don't think there's full-on monsters in this one.
The humans were the real monsters.
They always are. Now, we'll say the bat helmed warrior. He's definitely, he's got to be like a level 5 guy. I feel like.
I was thinking about them, and there's actually a class inside of what is that supplement called? Tales from the. It's like the weird. It's a third-party supplement. It's a campaign setting. I'm blanking on the name, but I have it. It's like right over there. I just don't want to get up and get it. But it's Tales from the like forgotten. Ouch.
Oh, yeah. It's the.
They have. I'm gonna grab it because I'm just gonna be talking about it, and not knowing what I'm talking about. Stand by.
I know what you're talking about, and I can't think of it.
Oh,
right
this
now
ring
either.
is really cool, by the way.
So they didn't have no children could be on set while the tiger was on set because it would eat them.
All right, I'm back. Did you miss me?
I did.
Okay, so it's Tales from the Forgotten Empire.
That's it. Yeah, that's a good one.
It's a good book. Yeah, I got this. This is technically the first DCC related thing I ever owned because I got it from a half price books, not realizing what game it was for. It just looked cool.
Oh, that's a good find.
Then later on I got really excited when I realized it was a DCC book. But they have a class in here called the Marauder that I think would be a good template for the Jun Horde. They are basically adventuring men that are a cross between a thief, a barbarian, and a fighter or a warrior. And they have scimitars, so it just feels natural.
Oh yeah, I mean there it is. That's it. So yeah, the ring, this magical ring, we're gonna have to write this up because
it's a perfect DCC treasure because it has a negative.
yeah,
Like, I don't like the idea of a magic item that doesn't have a drawback. And this is a drawback. If you get poked in the fake eye, you'll realize it's poked.
yeah. You have to maybe you have to like whoever actually created the magic item, you have to sacrifice your real eye for it. Like I mean
that seems maybe excessive. I don't know.
well, maybe not your eye, maybe somebody else's eye. How about
Yeah,
that?
that's true. But
Because
I do like that if it gets poked, whoever's using it, the scry gets poked in the eye too.
yeah.
Oh, and also, I guess you can just like teleport your hand into
Only through the cauldron.
cauldron. That's another thing you don't really see in fantasy games, like cauldron-based spells or spellcasting is actually not super prevalent. It's so prevalent in media and books and stories, but it's not very prevalent in fantasy role-playing.
That's very true, yeah. I mean, I guess, well, you have the ritualized magic section in Dungeon Crawl Classics, which you could, instead of Circle of Mages, you could do something about the cauldron, although there is sort of a circle of witches around the cauldron, so it's sort of this, they go into that a little bit, but you can expand on it.
Spellcasting. Oh, by the way, I found a good possible template class back in this book for the Beastmaster. You still have to add the Beastmastering part, but for everything else, it's called the Sentinel, and it's kind of like the lone wanderer of the wasteland who does good deeds. He's like, apparently it's based on like the Kung Fu David Carradine character minus the Kung Fu part.
Gotcha.
But he uses swords instead of fists or whatever. Oh yeah, John Amos. Introduction of John Amos's character.
Yep.
I love John Amos. I really, really think he's a great actor. He's underutilized. Big fan of. Oh my God! I'm having the Norman Jewison show he was on. The spin-off from the Jeffersons. Why am I blanking on it? It's not the Jeffersons, but it's another Norman Jewison show. Come on, help me out here.
I got nothing, man.
Yo, you know what it is.
I'm sure I do when you say it.
Good Times.
Okay, see, there you go.
I had to get there. But yeah, he's the dad in Good Times, and he's fantastic. And I don't know anything about this other kid. Now this is a traditional. This is almost a reference to the classic Ben Barsliff Gates, classic D&D skill, right? Mm-hmm. Which I guess would be essentially.
That'd be a strength check in
It's a
DCC.
strength check.
But
Just
you
a
would.
good old strength
Hey.
check. But with an assist.
Oh yeah. Well,
So how do you handle assists? Do you just give it as a bonus to the die roll, or what do you do? I feel like I know there's like an official rule, but I think I always like forget it and I just make something.
that's basically the official
the
rule,
spot.
as far as I remember, is that one person rolls and whoever's assisting can add their strength bonus to it.
Maybe it'd be more fun if for every person that you additionally helps, you go up one die in the die chain.
That's cool too.
I just like the idea of using the die chain. It's just a cool thing.
I like that die chain as well.
It's like a way cooler version of advantage and disadvantage.
Yeah.
Because it's more nuanced.
Friend, who are you?
Now these guys have these quarterstaffs that I feel like are more powerful than a traditional quarterstaff. Maybe I'm wrong. I think maybe I'm wrong. I feel like quarterstaffs, maybe they're given a fair shrift in the game. They're like what, a D8 or something? Are they D4 or D8?
I got the book right here.
Because theirs are definitely not a D4. I'll tell you this much. Unless they have a massive strength
it's a
bonus.
D. They don't actually have quarter staff in there. It's just
It's
a
just
staff
staff.
D4. Yeah. But I would say
I found that is one thing I have done with DCC. I have made some other weapon classes. Like I made a rapier because I wanted a weapon I wanted a handheld weapon that would get an agility bonus instead of a strength bonus. So
Right.
basically, rapier for me is a sword that is a D7 damage because I like using the funky dice, and that you don't add your strength bonus to, but you add your agility bonus to.
I like it.
That was something that and I can't remember. Did I make this up, or is this one of the Lankmar Benisons? Because I can't. There's something called Dexterous Dueler.
I
I
think
don't know,
that's a Lankamar one. That
I
sounds
think
familiar.
I think that I might have made that one up.
Well, you
it-
can claim it.
basically, you can. The gist of it is it allows you to switch out, and instead of using your strength modifier, you would use for light weapons. You could then use your agility modifier instead. But I can't remember if that is. I don't want to take credit for somebody else's work. I just can't remember. I literally cannot remember which Benisons I made. I made so many of them, and some of them are totally crap. But like, anyway. So what these guys are just like traveling like monks, right? Or like they were members of the king's court who were ejected from the kingdom when Rip Torn took over, and now they're just kind of like wandering the world looking for the lost prince or something, right? I don't hear you anymore. Did you go? You went silent, my friend. I think you're muted. One of us is muted.
Oh, the button. Yeah, I would say because the boy is technically the prince because
That's
they don't
right,
they
that's
don't know
They don't know
the
that he's
Beastmaster is
that
the
he's-
true heir.
They don't know that he's the cow baby.
I'm looking for my cow baby. So yeah, as far as the staff goes, I feel like if a warrior like wanted to be like a warrior monk or something and wanted to use a staff, that I feel like the staff's going to go up with their D die damage bonus anyways, but I feel like every other level maybe it goes up the chain still. So like if you're using a staff at 3rd level, it actually does D5 damage plus your D5 D die damage.
Well, maybe maybe you could differentiate between like a quarterstaff and a regular staff. Maybe a quarterstaff is made out of a thicker, heavier wood. Doesn't make it as good of a walking stick, but a better like if you're stronger, it makes a better weapon.
Yeah,
I don't know.
the staff is more for the wizard, I think,
Yeah.
not the warrior, obviously.
Like,
So
is a quarterstaff and a staff? Is there a difference there, or are they really pretty much the same thing?
That's
I feel like they might be different.
that's a question for Google,
Or
but I
for
feel
the-
like they are too. I'm not going to claim to know everything.
I just don't. I know weapons from like reading D&D books in high school and junior high. That's about it. And you say what you will about
Quarter
that,
staff.
but is a staff a quarterstaff
Yes.
or quarterstaff versus?
It's a shorter staff, or simply staff. It's a
All right,
pole.
here we go. So I think we're about to get the scene where you get to see the repercussions of having an eye thing.
Yes.
Do you see the? Is your cursor on? I see a. Okay, you got it.
Yeah, I moved it over top of the thing accidentally. Yeah, so this is obviously the player characters don't have control of the ring. So if they got control of the ring, then they could give it to somebody. Their wizard made one, for instance. Then
But they still need a cauldron, right?
yeah, I would say, or however, there needs to be a way to activate it when
So
someone
you
else is
wouldn't,
wearing it.
They wouldn't come as a paired set. Like you wouldn't have the cauldron comes with the ring. You would just have to do something to prepare any old cauldron to be compatible.
You'd have to
blue-
get the right liquid mixed with the right blood of,
your blue goo. You would blue goo connect.
Get your blue goo, sacrifice whatever you needed
Here
to.
we have the remote viewing again from Mind Games or from the. I didn't realize it. I used to call it U-American. The American Atlas, I think, is one of
Yes, yep.
one of those books. It's the one with the roller coaster on the cover. I remember.
I don't have that one.
blue
That's
and
yeah,
yellow.
that's the
It's
Atlas
almost
one.
all, yeah, it's almost all psionics because it's basically a redux of these rules here.
I've only got the
But they both.
survival guide.
I'm such a shill for. I'll buy anything that good. You do the same thing. Or is
I think we're all in the same boat here.
we're all. On the same.
Viewers as well.
By priests and
That's true.
You're right. They're to be sacrificed.
He's got a pretty good range on that remote viewing, though it is hard to tell. We don't really get a geographical sense of how big this world is, or at least how much land he's
Right.
traversed.
I think it would grow as you go in level, your
Journey to Arrogance
Your range.
your range. But also you notice like I like that when he comes out of it, he's like kind of like stunned for a second. So if you're trying to do
Right.
that in combat, you'd have to you couldn't do something while you're doing that. You'd have to be protected by other people or find some place to hide.
I love me a trade-off. I think
yeah.
that's the thing that makes that's why you don't need to have game balance, because if everything you give to somebody has a consequence, it basically bakes in the concept without having to go and plan your stuff to be balanced. You don't have to worry about as much about. You can't break the system. You're not gonna have an overpowered character. I don't know, the system like that for whatever reason. Maybe that's the core of it. But I've always thought DCC is so. It's not fragile in the way that 5e seems to be. The delicate balance can be upset.
It's too wacky to break.
Right. And you could even use competing systems. Like different characters could have different magic systems, that you can compete with. Like if you want to bring in a third-party magic system, so one character has a different way of casting spells, it's not going to break it.
Yeah.
Like I toyed with bringing in this OSR supplement that it's like the enchanter, and it literally it's like you get to basically make up the spell on the spot because you have different disciplines that you can craft into spells.
Mm-hmm.
It's really cool. I got it on Drive-Thru RPG.
We are not sponsored by Drive-Thru RPG. By the way, we just like it.
If they want it, they can sponsor us, right? Are we allowed to take a secondary sponsor?
I don't know. That's not my department.
You can't get a side hustle on this. Why is he waterboarding her? What was the deal there?
I don't remember. Tell me where the plans of the Death Star are. Something like that.
Dude, one of these guys are attempting to. See, they're not
Yeah, no, see, okay, so...
They're not Gregorian monks here.
So, let's look in the book and see what we could base that off of.
I like this idea of taking maybe an acolyte and then jacking them up a little bit.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah, because an acolyte has a +1 melee using a mace, but it could be anything. But, you jack that up to...
I mean, they're pretty crappy shots, to be fair.
If you want to make them a little harder, +2.
+2.
Or maybe they fight better in groups, so if there's more of them around, that they get bonuses for being, every third one adds another bonus to it.
All I know is they had that in 5e. It's called pack tactics. Is there an equivalent of that, or is that something? Is that an existing equivalency, or is that just a borrow?
Not that I know of. I think I've seen something kind of like that in a adventure module.
I mean, it's a perfectly usable concept. I think it's cool. You know, it's. But I think that's a cool bold.
So-
problem.
So they cut they're gonna cut the rope line
Oh,
here.
right.
And it's like, but what does that actually do? Because there's no way that they can pull the boat back, even if you cut the rope line.
Right, it doesn't have like a sail or anything.
Yeah. It's like, oh, we're free. It's like, well, they couldn't pull you back. Because that's not how the... But now they just can't pull themselves
Right.
further.
Exactly.
It made no sense to
They're
me.
at the mercy of the current of the lake at this point.
So one thing...
Beastmaster laughs at your silly logic.
One thing I've always I like to do in my games, the house rule, is for arrows, because I feel like arrows are not as deadly as they should be.
Right.
So what I like to do is kind of an exploding dice sort of thing. So like if you hit with an arrow and you roll a 6 on your damage, you get to roll again. And if you roll a 6 on that, you get to roll again. So that's instead of your arrow hitting somebody in the arm, you hit them in the jugular vein, you know, and so you're taking like 12 damage, and they're probably gonna die. So it's how badly the damage die does, how many times it explodes, would be whereabouts they get hit.
How would you
game-wise.
compensate for like? How would you like in like game logic compensate for like? What if you barely hit? Like maybe you did an armor class of 14, you got a 15, or you just got a 14.
Well, I would still just leave it up to the damage die, because you know that could be
kind of
just that one little place in his armor that, you know, he was lifting his sword up and he got right there, and then if the die
you would conceptually add the targeted spot to be drawn out through the damage die.
yeah.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
We'll meet in the Thorin Valley.
I can see. I think.
But
it's
it goes both ways. So like, you know, so that means when somebody's got crossbows on you, when somebody's got arrows on you, you know, in real life, you know, they can do some damage. You know, they can take you down. You know?
Speaking of which, like, there's always that weird thing in games, especially games that abstract their combat systems, like, you know, DCC or D&D or anything, where it's like, you know, a guy, like a guard, has a crossbow aimed at your head.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, don't move or I'll shoot you. And they're like, I attack him. And it's like, maybe they get the fires first, but they, you know, usually the game technical mechanics are like, maybe they get a +2. But like, I kind of always erred on the side of, no, you instantly die. But I don't know if you have thoughts.
I would, yeah, I mean, if it was point blank range, I would say that would have to be a luck check, like a roll over the body check or something, you know,
yeah,
to be like, you know, yeah, it pierced your brain, but luckily it only a fraction of an inch, and because you got a thick skull, so you somehow survived.
That's the beauty. Again, that's another beautiful thing about DCC, because I feel like anything that can be smoothed over is a luck check.
Oh yeah,
Luck check is brilliant.
I add it to everything I play now, you know.
Yeah, no, it's was that always in Call of Cthulhu, or did Call of Cthulhu take it from DCC?
I don't remember it being in
I know
the earlier edition, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if anybody else in the chat knows more about Call of Cthulhu. I just kind of got back into it recently, so
Does that mean we're going to be playing some Call of Cthulhu?
I think I'm just porting. You know, my philosophy. I've always said I think every game is compatible. I think if you understand the core mechanics, like even with Call of Cthulhu, you just divide everything by 5, since it's a percentile system. It works to a D20, you just divide by 5. But basically, I feel like every game is compatible. So when I buy source books for other games and just use it for DCC.
And also the beauty of not using challenge ratings as well. Just throwing that out the window, and you're just like, yeah.
That you should throw if you play 5, you should throw them out the window because they're broken to begin with.
Yeah.
They make no sense.
So now we're finally getting to a dungeon crawl.
Oh, now we get to also probably the weirdest of the creatures in the movie, which are borderline mutants. They're like non-radioactive mutants. Well, they're kind of radioactive because the weird things they put in their ear are like glowing. So maybe they are.
Maybe I mean, we don't actually see we see a little bit of a fight, but we don't see.
We see it like tearing ass to the walls. Right? It's just like sorry. We see it like smashing up the walls.
Yeah.
Trying to get that
So obviously they can see in the dark. They got some infravision, those glowy eyes. I would give these guys like a weird berserker sort of mechanic, or something.
Maybe they lose armor class, but they gain to hit, kind of thing.
Maybe.
With the rage, that's like a typical rage mechanic.
Yeah.
Like you get +2 to an attack with a -2 to your armor class for that same round. Yeah, but you want those like gloves to be like those gloves are fairly intense. Like
they are.
So, this is one thing in DCC. So like subdual. So it says punching damage, specifically subdual, is 1d3 subdual damage, but it does not say that non-subdual. I'm assuming it's still 1d3 if it's non-subdual. It's just not doesn't word it that way. But again,
I would rule 1d3 plus your strength modifier.
And that being said, like, would you give like, because that's like at least as good as a dagger, if not more, better than a dagger, having those crazy ass hands. What would you say? Do you think those are
for the gauntlets?
Yeah.
For those guys, I would actually bump up their gauntlets since they don't have weapons at all. I would say that maybe
that's extremely strong. Maybe they have like a 19 strength or something. And
I would say they get at least 2 attacks with both, and they both could do 1d6 each.
Yeah.
So you don't want.
Yeah, or you could even do something if you wanted to compensate for the strength. Maybe you say it's 1d4 plus like 4 or something.
Yeah, something.
Here we get to see the weird process by which they are made, which involves a weird, possibly. There's a lot of glowing substances for a world that doesn't have radiation necessarily.
Well, we don't know.
This could be post-apocalyptic.
I mean, if this was indeed based off of Andre Norton's Beastmaster, which is sort of post-apocalyptic, then perhaps that's a throw, something that was in there, but we don't actually understand it because it's not the same story.
If I had a player that abused the ferrets the way he abuses them to solve every problem, I'd be like, take those ferrets away. They're like way too. He's like, every problem he has, like, send the ferrets.
Send in the ferrets. When my father played D&D with his friends back in the day, they would always try to get like war dogs or something and send them in, and he would just like make sure that he instantly got rid of them as soon as possible. So that they were like, don't waste your money on animals, they'll just die.
Yeah, I always have problems and stuff like that. I don't know, I'm not good at. I always forget when there are other things or creatures or like servants or henchmen around of like for the PCs that are NPCs. Like, I always forget about them, and then it's like, oh yeah, they should probably be attacking too.
Yeah, well, I feel like it's that's half the players. The player needs to remember, because you got the entire world to think of. They can think about themselves and their ferrets. But yeah, like in this situation, I would maybe those ferrets might get a luck check to make sure they didn't get stepped on accidentally. And look at that. Okay, so he just knocked that down, easy peasy. That was probably like a D15 plus strength check, right?
Yeah, it's really strange where they chose to put armor on these guys. Like, it's very much like are they only being attacked by dwarves because the only armor is on their legs? I don't know what's happening here.
It's just it just looks good. That's my Halloween costume.
Don't look up roleplay on Amazon without putting game at the end, is all I'm going to say.
Duly noted. So I like that she just went into a secret chamber and came out and was like, okay, let's go. Like, she got put on a little more clothing and got a dagger.
Yeah.
So what would she be? Would you put her in a thief class? Would she be a warrior? I mean, she's 0 level, I feel like.
Yeah, maybe she's...
Maybe first.
Yeah, if she's 0 level, then we don't have to worry about it. If she's first level, probably a thief. I mean, it seems that makes the most sense.
Yeah.
But then again, I don't know. Maybe it's... Yeah, I don't know. Maybe she's just a warrior just with a really not great fantastic stats. I don't know. It's a good one.
See, he didn't even control the tiger then.
Tiger knew what's up. We already knew what was up. So they had to
Do you wanna map out the temple?
Yeah, these are 5 foot across by 30 foot long tunnels with a weird.
Where do they
slope.
go? We're gonna get a witch fight here in a little bit.
Yeah, and we
She-
get the
she-
weird, prematurely withered king here.
Yeah, he aged pretty fast.
I think it's particularly bad aging makeup.
Oh, he also lost his eyes. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
All right, so yeah, now the thing with this guy, he can't catch ferrets. All right, so really, when they go in a rage, I think it would be that they roll. So maybe they roll 2 d16s for each of their attack. When they're in a rage mode. But when they're not in a rage mode, they roll 2d20. So if you can put these guys in a rage, that they're easier to
The
attack.
rage is a drawback. It's
Yeah,
not
yeah.
not a benefit.
Because obviously this guy can't catch ferrets.
Or maybe their strength goes up, their accuracy goes down.
True. They're not built for agility.
Right.
All right, so we got some floaty gal here. That's a little magic missile, or that might have been color spray. I would say that was color spray.
You think so?
Yeah, because it kind of blinded him
flourish.
instead of.
Yeah, that's true. It had the effect.
Yeah, see, he's like blinded. It's not so much a magic missile. And now she's using spider climb.
Right. Absolutely.
And he's at a -4. Just swinging. I've been in that situation.
He could
You
not-
come home, you try to, take your shoes off. You think it's
This
gonna be
is
a good
clever
one.
use of the remote viewing.
Ah, yeah. That's right. See, and that's skill for player action there.
And that would be again might be so good because you have the thing where it's like the player's like, okay, I stabbed him. I now just want to twist it around for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And that could justify giving a D die that gives additional damage.
I love Mighty Deed. Like, there's so many things you can do with it, and like I've never actually used any of the true Mighty Deeds in the book. I don't use them the
just, like,
same way the book
suggestions.
does it.
Those are just suggestions anyway.
Sure,
That's just to prime the pump, so to speak.
but they make like tables for how well you can achieve
Right.
things, whereas I like
But I feel like those
I
are
like
always
to just rule it.
Yeah, just suggestions. Like I know that there's a third-party supplement that's out there. That's just like a book of like different Mighty Deeds. But that's like one of the few things I don't have because I kind of felt like it's unnecessary. No shade on that book. I'm sure it's a great book. I'm kind of in your camp where I just like to kind of like do it on the fly.
Yeah, I'm a very on the fly sort of guy. This guy is just going hard on these ferrets and losing.
Maybe it does something to their intelligence or their personality where it makes them very one-track minded.
Oh, so if they can see better in the dark, maybe all those torches are messing up with his eyesight.
Yeah, true. But I'm just thinking about the idea that like, he just can't get over those ferrets. He can't get past. He's like, I don't care. There's actual invaders in here that are capable of killing my bosses. I'm just gonna concentrate on these 2 ferrets.
When I first saw this, I wasn't paying attention that it was a chain, and I thought there was some sort of like air blowing up that was releasing this, and I was like, or something, but it's just a chain. They show the chain like twice. So
Yeah, no, it's true. It did move up at a different rate that he was turning the thing. I did notice that. But that always bothered me. Like he stopped turning it, and then they went up another thing afterwards. Had like a delay response.
they just don't make them like they used to. That's
He's just like kind of flippant with his animals. He's like, we don't know what's down there. Why don't you go down there? Like, do you think? After
Well,
a
he
while
did just. I mean, it's a tiger, so I think a tiger could handle itself. Especially a black tiger. They're pretty rare.
Please, you must come with us.
No, you go ahead. So yeah, so she sent out that little thing that wrapped around his wrist. So, she's got to be at least level 1. of some sort, I would say.
Or maybe it was a luck check.
That could be. And we have alkalites.
Maybe she just leveled up. Would you allow that? Do you allow leveling? This is a controversial topic from people, right? But do you allow leveling up in the middle of the adventure, or do you need that to be happening like at a relaxation?
I personally like to do it between sessions, but I suppose if it was a really long session, or like you're in a, I don't know. I don't know. I usually don't do it in the middle of the session unless it's really story driven, I suppose.
Well, I feel like I kind of have two minds about it, because I think like certain things could go up, like maybe your hit points if your hit points increase, but like certain abilities that like you shouldn't give a wizard new spells unless they find them in the wild.
I like that concept.
But maybe like you get some of the ones that make sense that you could get as they accrue.
Mm-hmm.
Like maybe, you know, your battle hardness, now you have more hit points, or you know, or if you're, you know, just from swinging your sword so much, you get an additional, you know, your D die goes up. You're a warrior. You know, I could
right.
see. But it's just like some of the other more conceptual stuff is the harder stuff. Like anything spell based or like.
Yeah, like for clerics, it's different because that's deity, you know, driven.
But they still have to look. Well, I know I don't do the thing where, maybe I'm a miser. I don't know. But I don't do the thing where you get access to the full cleric list. You still have to like get them, like into like somebody else in your church needs to be like, hey, you want to, this is how you pray to get this is how you pray for lightning rain.
Mm.
I don't know what spell is, but you know. So like you just don't automatically have like this database of different prayers memorized, or how you know, invoke your god.
Or maybe you know, even though you don't get a deity disapproval, you still have to do one of the lower end disapprovals to get that extra spell or something, you know.
Yeah, I just like the idea that like someone in the church has got to train. You know, someone's gonna be like, hey, I found out that you know what the hot new prayer going around is? Like, you hear about this cool new, all the cool kids are doing it. And then he can teach you. Like,
there he goes.
yeah, but I think I need to be a little bit more, less miserly about having people find new spells in the wild.
That's true.
The idea that,
I mean, the character I'm playing in your game is a spellcaster, but he hasn't, you know, really stumbled across anything.
No, y'all haven't really looked for stuff, though. You guys have bypassed some stuff.
Okay.
Not much, but some. So what do you use? Okay, here's a good question. Since they don't have a traditional skills, would you use agility or personality to drive a horse buggy and keep it under control?
Well, seeing as like, all right, so most modern day people can drive cars. I figure most people can drive horses because it's such a commodity.
Some are better drivers than others.
Sure, and I would I guess you could use your occupation background, but I think, you know, if everyone's an adventurer, unless it's just driving that cart down the road shouldn't be a check, but doing something crazy with the horses.
Special. So yeah, maybe you do a thing where it's like, okay, if you have a background that makes sense that you would have driven a thing, you get the D20. But if you don't, you get the D10. But in either case, you get to either add your agility if you think it's an agility thing, or if it's convincing the horse to do it.
Maybe if you know these horses, maybe it would be a personality check, you know. But if you don't know the horses, then it's all about skill and you getting, you know, you knowing how to hold onto the reins, how to steer. So then it's agility.
Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but did you see like the weird thing she threw on that guy's head? It was like sticky metal, and it just like on his helmet, and then somehow that took him down. It didn't penetrate his helmet, just stuck to the side of it, but it was enough to like take him out. And it was like sticky metal. That's what it looked like. Sticky.
Not the ferret. Ooh, now is that a ferret mighty deed?
Yeah, I would say so. No game has an official like mechanic for crotch damage. In the sense that, because even though maybe it doesn't do as much damage to pain, it doesn't have to really, or
You just
add this.
pass out.
add this.
You're out of the. You're out of combat. Done.
Because pain is kind of wrapped into the hit point mechanic.
Yeah, I like to use the hit points. It's not. It's more
So abstract.
wear and tear. Wearing you down and stuff. But then the final.
Yeah.
The final, like, either a really bad die roll or a crit roll or something, that's wounds. And then going down to 0, that's a wound. But for the rest, it's, resilience and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
It always bothered me how much of an ingrate this king is. He's such a jerk.
Yeah.
You
He
kinda,
makes the
like,
Beastmaster cry. I mean,
you don't feel bad if I'm not saying something bad happens to him, but if it did, you wouldn't feel too bad about it.
you got to see it from his point of view, man.
You can't see. Is that a joke? Because you can't see.
That was not an intended joke, no.
You must listen to him. He has already saved your life.
He's just like extra, like, I don't know. You feel like you do a favor for somebody and like
Yeah.
they just kind of throw it back in your face.
It's like, hey, I just got you out of that ziggurat prison. No, you're just gonna make me cry?
That's an opposed personality check.
That is, I have yet to have another character make my. No, that's not true. Deferus made me cry in the game because he left me.
It's true. You had the soul. What was that thing called? What's that venison called?
The
Soul brother.
Split soul brother.
Split soul brother.
Yeah, he left me.
Your
Is he
split
still?
soul.
Is he still watching? Is he still here? I don't see him talking.
He knows what he did. He knows what he did.
So there he is. Look at that. 1 tier.
Yeah, he had to really work for that tier. Marc Singer. What happened to Marc Singer? Is he even act anymore?
I don't
I just
know.
remember he was like really on fire around this time because he was in V, that great made-for-TV movie/series.
Oh, I know what V is.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And then I feel like he was in a couple other pretty cool things. There's you probably know this. There's a really crummy Beastmaster sequel called Beastmaster Through the Portal of Time.
Oh, we're gonna watch it.
You want to go there? You want to lose our audience?
I love bad movies, so
I mean, there's like bad movies and then there's movies that are not even enjoyably bad.
our taste may differ on that regard.
We got plenty of bad movies we can watch.
I'm just
Trust-
saying, we
trust.
might as well watch the whole trilogy.
Trilogy. There's a third one?
Yeah, there's a third one.
What's the third one? There was a Beastmaster television series that lasted like 12 episodes. I know that. I didn't know there was a third movie though.
We could watch that too. We watch all 12 episodes.
You know what we need to watch? Even though I have to find a way to justify it. But like, speaking of weird spin-offs, or not that we really were.
So
speaking of weird
Beastmaster
spin-offs.
3 is the Eye of Braxis.
Oh, I thought that didn't get made. That got made.
It's on
Oh, yeah.
it's on IMDb.
Book here. Yeah, it says. Oh, it was an Italian film. It was like they just took the name.
So it's
Silvio-
not official, huh?
It's oh, well, I will say this, or the book does say this, that they finally gave Andre Norton her due with Beastmaster 2 Through the Portal of Time. She was given a credit for the source material officially for that one.
And we will watch all 3. Don't you worry. I'm gonna make sure Clay sits through the wall.
But no, the show that like you could almost say it's so like using the time traveling element is and if anybody knows about this, people like know about this or like love it, and then people don't know about this freak out when they hear about it and they think you're making it up. Is Baywatch Nights?
No, I know Baywatch Nights.
Yeah,
I remember
Nights is incredible. It's
watching
like,
it actually.
You like X-Files? You like Baywatch? Now you can have them both. But the first episode, it's an unfrozen Viking goes on a rampage, and David Hasselhoff has to mighty beat him back into the Ice Age.
Well, it may not fit our Appendix N Cinema, but we could start another show where we watch that.
Literally just Baywatch Nights.
We could watch that. We could watch Forever Night. That's the one with the vampire who's a cop.
Yep, yeah, I remember that one.
We could watch Vampire the Embrace.
Is that the one where Alyssa Milano's naked? Or am I thinking of something else?
That's a TV show, so I don't think so.
Oh, no, okay.
No, Vampire the Embrace. I think that's the name of the TV show, but that was based off Vampire the Masquerade, obviously.
Oh, right. I do remember this now because I was watching. There's a documentary on Amazon about vampire.
World of Darkness thing.
Yeah, the World of
I haven't
Darkness.
seen that yet.
They were talking about that. I don't know why I watched it. I never played those games. I have no idea why I watched
I want to, but I've never. I was gothy and
I never had.
read all the books, but I never actually got to play. Never got to.
I was way too self-conscious for that.
I'm an Nosferatu. So, anyways, we got sidetracked there.
Yeah, it's probably a good point.
It's a good documentary. The World of
I
Darkness.
guess I
watch
just
it.
didn't know enough.
I need to watch
I
that. I need to watch
more
the
about
Eye of the
that.
Beholder one,
I liked that one.
and I need to watch the Blackmore documentary. I haven't watched that one yet. So yeah, they threw the eye into the fire. Isn't that how they got rid of it?
They poked it first.
They poked. That's right. Yeah.
And then it started bleeding, and they put it in the fire.
Yeah.
So it was like a double trouble.
So I would say now he poked it with. Did he poke it with a blade or a dagger?
A stick.
A stick. Yeah. See, I would say you'd have to at least poke it with maybe some sort of +1 weapon or something. You couldn't just that easily get rid of that magic item.
Well, I mean, think about it, because under normal circumstances, your aim would have to be incredible to be able to hit it with a stick.
Well,
But
if it's not
the guy
moving.
is like, so if it's not moving and it's hanging out, then he should be able to get it with just a stick, I think, because it's Achilles heel. It's like it survives because in most situations, somebody would be poking at it, you're probably defending yourself and moving your hands a lot,
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think I would let it go to not +1. Yeah, but I hear what you're saying.
I mean, if you did, okay. Well, as we were talking about earlier, if you used a real eyeball, somebody's real eyeball forged inside that metal, then yeah, you wouldn't have a simple stick should do it then.
Maybe your eye goes out of your head until somebody pokes it, then it teleports back into your skull.
I'm all about people losing eyes and noses and limbs. I want ugly characters.
Okay, I want a ring that has a nose on it so you can smell it.
You're secretly sniffing everyone, like just far away. Like, what's this guy smell like?
Magic items for creatures that don't have eyesight, like some creatures. Why can't they have
Could you toss the ring? Like, okay, so what if you had one with an ear? So then you toss the ring under a thing, and you could hear under the door, and you could hear what's beyond the room.
See, look, all these cool things.
Oh man.
You have one that licks things.
You can taste things from afar, like
remote tasting.
Now we're talking DCC.
Yes.
I wanna taste everybody.
On the saddest part of the movie. You have a hard time with this part coming up, I know.
Oh, I don't want to talk about it. I'm gonna watch it.
Look, they definitely have that benefit. You take your clothes off and you're a better fighter. Because that kid's like,
oh yeah, even the kids got it.
All my clothes, and now I can fight. Now I'm ready, guys. Let's do this fight.
I didn't spend enough time growing up in just a loincloth, and I should rectify that.
Yeah.
Just run around town. Mask.
Oh wait.
Loincloth.
So what would teeth damage be? Like a D2? I don't know.
Whose teeth? For the ferret?
This is for those of us who just joined what movie, this is Beastmaster. The original Beastmaster, the Don Coscarelli epic. He made when he was 28 years old for very little money, and he went on to, previous to this, he made Phantasm. And then he made all the Phantasm sequels, and they're all very
and
decent.
Bubba Hotep.
And Bubba Hotep. And
I'm still waiting for a Bubba Nosferatu, by the way.
I think I'll be waiting for a long time.
Yeah, I think I will too.
And that would be Double Hotep was written by is one of the local treasures here in Texas, the great Joe Lansdale.
Oh wow.
Hidden gem, who's kind of an Appendix N writer if you expand your a little bit, because his books are very like Southern Gothic, but with a taste of like they got a manly Wade Wellman feel to them.
Oh, nice. Yeah. I'd like to try that Country Crawl Classics.
Oh, right on.
Or Low Crawl, whatever it's called, something like that.
I have that. Yeah, the Low Country Crawl.
Yeah. That'd be fun.
Here's an insta kill coming up. There's no rule for damage.
You got. I mean, they're both, NPCs from the player's point of view.
That's
so,
true. You should never, when an NPC attacks another NPC, you should never roll.
No, just if there's plot involved, just do it, man.
But also, it's just kind of like nobody wants to sit around while you roll against yourself, you know?
Well, yeah. Stand by 5 minutes, guys.
That's like when you have NPCs have a conversation with each other for a long time.
Oh.
Hair puller.
Oh.
That is something.
I like his little skull braid.
I do like this film does the, I guess, I don't know if you would call it innovative, but I do like the idea that, like, you dispatch essentially up to this point the main villain, but then you forgot about this other dude you gotta deal with now.
Mm-hmm. See?
Oh, here it is. It's the thing where she turned into a dove.
So there's a transmutation spell, I guess, right? Or something like that she could have used.
She invoked Doug Henning. Yeah,
polymorph, I guess, was what it would be.
Maybe you could have a lower level polymorph where you this is a specific thing, like polymorph to dove only.
Well, if she was polymorphing, then she's at level 3, unless we have a lower end one.
I thought polymorph was like a higher level spell. I can't remember.
I mean, it's level 4, is what I meant to say 4, not 3.
A level 4 spell or a level 4?
A level 4 spell.
Yeah, so she'd be. That's what I'm saying. Like she'd have to be a crazy high level. But like, what if you had a version, a lower? Maybe it's like one level lower. That you just have one thing you can turn into.
True.
Fantastic. And you get
Oh no! No!
Here it comes. This is the part. Thorn's gonna cry everybody.
Don't watch.
You have to. It's okay if you want to look away.
Dude.
See, look, you fall in the fire, you explode.
Yeah, that's because it's evil deity fire.
Oh no, it happened to the earlier person who fell in the fire.
I know. It's evil fire. It's hellfire.
Okay, I get what you're saying now.
Yeah, it's like his deity, his evil deity.
It's so sad. He's like, "Where's my buddy? I don't like it."
That's where he communes with his patron, is through that fire. But yeah, that's sad.
This hurts my heart. It's up there with that dog earlier for me.
But out of all the creatures, there's only 2 creature deaths in the. If you don't count like horses, I guess.
They take the edge off the animal death by killing the annoying king. So it's kind of like you get the good with the bad.
Can't have one without the other.
We will fight.
I like how they all kind of like half crawled up the ziggurat, but they didn't need to because everybody was dispatched basically.
Is this like would I be giving spoilers for Sailors in the Starless Sea to point out the connections between that module and this adventure that are probably unintended?
No, go ahead. I don't think Spoiler alert, everybody.
Sacrifice at the top of the ziggurat. That's like the whole end of a later section of that adventure.
Sure. I mean, you could say that for a lot of adventures throughout
That's true.
role-playing history.
This is kind of like a dirty trick, and I like what they do. They're like, they trick the enemy where the bridge is. So that way, they think they're running up to the bridge, but they're actually running into the weird, like, not water, but maybe tar pit.
It's flammable tar, yeah.
Tar pit. Yeah, why is this town where it is? It's like...
Well, I feel like that was put in later. Like, that's obviously a defensive sort of moat. They didn't build it next to a tar river.
But they didn't also build it next to any source of potable water.
Well, as far as you know, we haven't seen the whole thing. We have to go back and look at the shot where we're looking down on the whole town to see,
I was
you
looking.
know.
I was looking.
Tell my...
So
my
he's like, tell the.
what were they called? The sack...
Grabbers. What are they called? What are we called? Oh, what were they called in the chat? The
sack huggers.
Sack huggers. That's
Tell
right.
the sack huggers.
Tell the sack huggers to bring the reinforcements. I'm gonna look to see if there's any more fun facts that are worth anything to mention in this book about the Beastmaster that I have. It says. So this movie cost $9 million, and premiered in the Cannes Film Festival in 1982, but in the market section of the festival. And they filmed it mostly in it's all shot in California. It's in Ventura County, as well as the Valley of Fire State Park in Nevada. So I have to assume that's where most of the towns are.
Nice. Are there any remnants of the ziggurat left for tourists to go find?
On the DVD, you get to see them build it in the behind the scenes.
That's cool.
There's a lot of wood in that thing.
So I love shots like this in any movie. You know, when they got horses lined up ready to go. Obviously, you know, they shot this at night, so you couldn't see exactly how many extras they had.
It's unfortunate that the big evil Jun leader didn't give an inspirational speech to his men before they attacked. He was like, Bahamba Shoba. And they all kind of nod in agreement.
Yeah, whatever you say, man.
He's like, as long as we don't fall into a tar pit, it will rue the day they mess with us. I still don't understand what their end thing is. Like, we want to take this worthless city that's not even anywhere near a water source.
Yeah, you know, what is their goal? Maybe they don't have goal, you know? I mean, maybe they are just like nomad, tribal, road warrior types.
There was a very classic DC character, old man fighter guy.
Yes.
He was fighting through the pain. So the kid who plays John Amos's like little sidekick, he was nominated in 1983 for the Young Artist Award, Best Young Supporting Actor in a Motion Picture, from it doesn't say what board nominated. Oh no, the Young Artist Award is the board. Sorry, they nominated him for the Young Best Supporting Actor.
There he goes.
Yeah, I thought you should know that.
Thank you.
And of course, he's getting 1d6 extra points of damage per round.
That's
Really felt in the explosion.
So yeah, would you call that? Would that be a mighty deed kick, or would that just be a regular kick?
I think if you go by the letter of the law, it would be because I think the example they give in the book for a mighty deed is pushing somebody.
That's true. So yeah.
You kick a demon through a portal. So I'd say that's like a D3 on that's a 3 or above.
You don't think he's leveled up now? He's not a level 2 Beastmaster at this point?
Well, no, he might be, but that means he has a better chance of getting that 3.
Yeah, that's true. Or higher.
Or higher. Now you get to see. We're about to get to the point where you get to see all the cool things that Mace, that the Jun Horde leader can do with his cool ass weird mace. I don't know if I'd ever fight with a sword if I had a mace that cool. My mace is really heavy and unwieldy. But and you're also gonna find out why it's good to have giant ears on your stupid helmet.
I would still put ears on my helmet because I like it.
I mean, they are not very aerodynamic there.
No, I mean, maybe not leather ears. You know, maybe it'd be steel at least so that, you know.
You would never be in the Tour de France with those things.
It's not about speed.
That guy
it's about intimidation.
That guy does not shave his legs for aerodynamics purposes.
So
oh, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, the fight scene that's going to come up between Bat Ear Boy and the Beastmaster is something that I've been wanting to work on, which is, you know, hey, you have spell duels, but what if two warriors who fight each other, they have like a mighty deeds duel? in a sense, and it's sort of the same concept. So you get this epic battle just between these two warriors, the same way you would between two wizards.
Yeah, absolutely. That
So I don't, you know.
do that escalating die thing where every round that you win, you get to add a pip to your d20.
Yeah, so you know it would add to your attacks, so you'd get multiple attacks, or you'd go up the dice chain with damage or something. Maybe you pick what you choose as you go up. But yeah, I think it's because I always I've been thinking about this for a while now before even with any major battle between two warriors. So.
No, what I was gonna mention was I feel like the thing that I always forget and I always want to do is so easy to forget when you're doing battles is give interesting terrain, like fire everywhere and like things to hide behind. Fire things. The classic, the chandelier to swing from. But like I like this like everywhere. You gotta watch out if you fumble or you back up too far, you're gonna hit a fire. You're gonna maybe catch on fire.
Yeah.
You're gonna fall in that tar pit. And they're about to get into the most fire-ridden place where they have their one-on-one fight. They're like, nah, let's go into the fire to have this because that's just way too convenient not to do that.
So, as far as his mace, so he's got 4 blades. So maybe the mace has like it's like 4d4.
But not all those blades can hit you for the same time, dude. It just means that you have a better chance of being hit because. I feel like it's more
okay,
about-
so it's
so it's not gonna be unless you're in an inverted circle, then you're not gonna be able to. But I do think it would increase your chance to hit because any side of the mace hits you, you get a blade.
Gotcha.
In your whatever.
So it's more of a it's a and this chain thing here. So
The chaining's one, but also, have you ever done a mechanic or played in a game where like a weapon that missed gets stuck in something and you have to wiggle it out?
I mean that's
about to happen.
I mean besides a fumble, I guess that would be considered a fumble,
that is
right?
a fumble result, right? Is that a fumble result when your weapon gets stuck?
Yeah, I mean it can be.
But he's like,
I don't always use the table. Oh, see now that, and he gets stuck on his own blade.
He gets thrown back onto his own.
I would say that's a mighty deed as well.
He's like, you know what? I'm not gonna let a little blade in the back stop me.
So yeah, maybe because there's 4 blades, it's a +4 to hit.
Yeah, something like that, right? It's like, I feel like it increases. Maybe it increases the damage a little bit. Maybe you have mace damage, you add an additional like +2, but it just increases your ability, your chance to hit, because even if a glancing blow has a chance of catching it, even if you get them on the side, it still has the blade.
Or if you get the you bring the chain out, and that's up on the dice chain because now you're swinging it crazy, So
what about a weapon that can hit multiple people in the same round? Would you do the thing where it's kind of like, okay, so Dark Trails is a pretty cool thing with like fanning the hammer of your gun. So you can keep going after you hit somebody, but you just keep going successively down on the die chain for every consecutive.
I like that. Yeah.
So you could do a version that, like, if you had the big spinning mace, or John Amos just a little while ago had his quarterstaff or whatever, and he was spinning it around and hitting multiple people. So maybe you could do that. Like, you hit the first person at a d20 or whatever your die is, maybe a d20. That's good. It's more powerful. But then each successive person you attempt to hit is 1 die low chain.
I like how he brought these guys, but they're still so freaky that he's like, we got to get out of here. Like they could turn on us at any moment, I feel like these guys are.
We lucked out that they hadn't had dinner already too, and then they would be like, "Now we're good."
So obviously they fly. What do you think? They fly like 40 feet per round? They seem pretty fast.
They fly like a camera crane.
How fast can a camera crane go?
Yeah. A good camera crane gets you a good 40 feet, maybe.
So
40,
50 feet per round?
About 20 feet around, yeah. Something like that. I just like they work. I just like that they don't necessarily need to, they can do the hovercraft thing, and it's straight up.
Yeah. Well, they're a little bit magical.
They rolled the body on this kid. He's going to roll under his luck check. Hopefully he didn't spend too much of that luck.
Does pulling the arrow out give you a little bonus?
I don't know. He pulled out really aggressively. That seems like it probably would not help. Aren't you supposed to push it all the way through out the other side? Isn't that
That's well, I guess it depends on how far it sticks, but yeah, I think that's the way you're supposed to, because otherwise you're just ripping it wider. But he does mention that like he's not going to have the use of his like arm for a while or something.
Hey, I'm sorry, your ferret's dead. Is he giving him the glaive thing, or is he? Oh, he just figured out that his tattoo was.
Yeah, he's giving him the glaive.
He failed his intelligence check to figure that out earlier. So the DM or the judges. Like, fine.
Maybe it was a luck check and he never actually saw it till just then.
So yeah, I don't know. Like, the more I think about it, like a lot of these characters, I feel like would be really good for this Tales from the Fallen Empire book. Also, the era that this book is in, it's much more like not Bronze Age necessarily, but it is a little bit more like
It's got
pre-medieval.
right. It's got that sword and sorcery feel.
Yeah. I feel like it's a pretty. It feels very applicable to this. And because it has like these, like that John Amos's character could be that weird, that like sentry character. The Sentinel character.
Right. Yeah.
Because they do actually. I feel like that even fits the John Amos character better than it fits Beastmaster. Yeah, and there is a witch class in here too. There's an actual witch class. So there's that too. And there's man-apes. Not that there's any man-apes in them, but I feel like you could easily modify a man-ape, reskin it into one of those.
Into the berserker guys.
The berserker guys, yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like you got everything you need in this book. Thank you, Chapter 13 Press, and
Go check it out if you haven't already. Probably there might be some copies on the Goodman Games site.
Oh, I will say another fun fact about this book. Now that I'm just chilling for this company, apparently, the screen that comes for this, if you get the DM screen, it has the tables that are missing from the DCC standard screen. So together, they have every table you'd ever need.
Nice.
It's a fun fact, and it has nothing specific to that campaign world on their DM screen or their judge screen.
As it should be.
As it should be. So did we ever figure out how we would do this glaive? It would just be what, like an axe damage or something, but a thrown?
I think it's a good D6.
Yeah, there's a boomerang thing though to make it unique.
So then it would be a luck check on its way back if it hit anybody as it comes back. So you throw it to hit, it could still hit, maybe bounce off.
But maybe you could add your agility to your punch.
I would say it's definitely yeah. To see how well you threw it that time.
Yeah. Because it's a little bit skill, a little bit luck, you know. You
yeah, totally.
Crosses the stream, so to speak.
Assuming you even have like a luck modifier, or an agility modifier.
I have a tendency to. I feel like it's such a missed opportunity when characters don't have a luck modifier for anything. So I always feel like I always want to push that to at least a +1 for almost all the characters.
I say let the dice fall as they may.
Yeah, you're mean, though.
Look at that.
We're gonna find out that
babies.
Okay, because there's babies.
And now
I thought they were like brothers. I didn't realize they were a couple. You know.
Hey, that's the surprise ending. There should be a whole movie just about like a prequel movie about the ferrets.
It takes place like a week before the other movie.
Yeah. What were they doing out there?
They're very short-lived.
So, sometimes you gotta swing your sword on the mountain. Sometimes you gotta kiss your girl on a mountain. You know.
Well, I think he's gonna swing again. I think he's gonna have his cake and eat it too. I think he's about to start swinging.
She just like ducks, like, oh, what? Get out of the way. All right, we did it, folks.
Oh, no. Yeah, the swinging scene at the end. Maybe I just imagined.
Witch woman.
So let's see in the credits if they name those.
Winged creature leader. Winged creature.
So lame. That's so lazy. They just named him Zed's dead baby.
Jun priest. So the Jun.
The Jun was the Jun horde.
Yes, but they were also priests apparently, according to the credits here.
I thought they were different.
So they coincided with Rip
I always
Thorin's
thought
in
they
a
were
religious
different,
standpoint, I suppose. They were like his army, maybe.
I always thought for some reason that they were some sort of different clan, you know? They didn't necessarily connect that way. I guess that makes sense, I suppose. But I had a very specific reason why I thought they were not related.
Hmm.
Like I wasn't just pulling it out my butt. Oh well. Oh
Well-
well.
Well, I appreciate you guys hanging out with us for Beastmaster. And hope you enjoyed us rambling on and on and on. And we'll come back for our next show, which I don't know what we're going to be showing. It'll be closer to Halloween, so we need to pick some...
Impromptu vote?
What's that?
You want to do an impromptu vote?
We could do that, yeah. On
We could toss up some titles
on the Twitter.
Site, on the Twitter. Yeah, you should send your suggestions to Twitter. We were considering, well, a little inside baseball. We were considering. Yeah, I do want to do Dungeon Master. I brought that up. Yes. And
Krull is definitely
We're
on the list.
doing Krull, which, by the way, if you all know or don't know, Krull was originally pitched as a D&D movie. And then they couldn't get the rights, and then that became Krull. We were talking about maybe for Halloween doing a clip show of just various fun monsters from monster horror films that we stat up. Because we did such a good job statting up today.
Right, and so
we would just cut out any of the scenes. We would just make Thorin do the heavy lifting and cut out any scenes that have too much stuff. Like there's one we really want to show called Conquest, which is an Italian film. I think is just the best thing in the world. But it has one character is topless the entire movie.
Yeah,
So it takes creative.
we'll have to do some blurring on that.
Sword and the Sorcerer, I want to do specifically just for that sword that shoots the blades out of it. If for no other reason. And also it has demon summon.
Yeah.
So, and
Excalibur.
in Conan we have to at some point.
Oh,
It felt a little on the nose to start with Conan. And then a friend of mine suggested Ator. Oh, you know the deep cut I want to do Thorin. If anybody knows the fantastic made for Showtime 1981 movie Prisoners of the Lost Universe with Richard Hatch from Battlestar Galactica. And Willow's fantastic. But Prisoners of the Lost Universe will change your religion. It is a soft sequel to Hawk the Slayer. Now a lot of people know Hawk the Slayer. It was originally meant to be a Hawk the Slayer sequel, but it got refinanced. They lost some rights, and it became one of the first made-for-Showtime movies, made in Australia. And
Didn't they
it's awesome.
just recently kickstart for a Hawk the Slayer actual sequel or something?
I don't know, but
Hawk
I will
Slayer
always
Returns.
count Prisoners of the Lost Universe as a Hawk the Slayer. And Prisoners of the Lost Universe is perfect DCC. Name of the Rose is I just reread the book. It's fantastic for that. The reason why I love I'm going to sell you on Prisoners of the Lost Universe. It's because it's a modern Earth scientist who goes through a portal back to this weird fantasy medieval world that's not even necessarily Earth, and a warlord basically captures him, thinks he's a wizard, and gets him to give him the secret of gunpowder. And so now John Saxon, who's the evil villain who wears this amazing wool vest whole movie, and nothing else. He has pants on, but he basically makes this poor guy make him gunpowder. And then there's also monsters in it. There's a weird green elf dude in it, and then there's a giant in it, and there's little dwarf monsters in it, and there's Richard Hatch doing with a kendo stick.
All right, I'm go no further. I am sold.
And Kay Lenz, who's afraid of everything in that movie too. You get gratuitous Kay Lenz in that movie. But yeah, no, it's fantastic, and they did a riff track on it, and we'll have fun with it.
Okay. So yeah, guys.
Name of the Rose would be fun. Yeah,
I agree.
all these are great suggestions.
Put them on the list. We got
Dragon Slayer is fantastic. Dragon Slayer is that came from that weird era where Disney was this is a family film where a virgin queen gets eaten alive. You get to see her dismembered body parts in a Disney film.
We could also do the Black Cauldron, actually. That's
Black
pretty good.
Cauldron's great.
Yeah.
For a moment, I thought you were about to say the Black Hole, which makes no sense, but my heart got excited because I love the Black Hole. Conan the Barbarian we have to do. Conan the Destroyer we should do.
Yeah.
Red
We could-
Sonja.
Let's do Red Sonja. Why not? I'm down to do, if it's good, if it's bad, I don't care. I want it.
And we're even dipping into the idea of going like mutant MCC, Mutant Quad Classic style, and do like, we talked about Hell Comes to Frogtown.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about the New Barbarians. There's a lot of great post-apocalyptic Italian films that are close to my heart, and we will not pick any stinkers. These suggestions are great. Or they're not stinkers for the wrong. They're stinkers for the right reason.
Exactly. All right, folks. Thanks for joining us. Come check us out on Twitter, and you can see our personal handles below, SonOvThrain and D&D Party, even though he only plays DCC.
Don't at me for that.
You're gonna have to change it. You're gonna have to change it one day.
I will change it. I'll change it. Fine. I'm gonna lose my few followers.
No, just convert them to the right
Okay,
side.
I will. I will do the work. I will proselytize for it.
All right, folks. Signing off. We'll see you next time.
See you soon.